Before digital screens, before printed books, before typewriters and scrolls, there was something more fragile, yet far more powerful: paper. An invention so subtle, we barely stop to think about it. And yet, it is the quiet foundation of civilization. Behind every revolution, invention, war, treaty, poem, and prayer, there was a piece of paper. But where did it come from? Who first imagined it, and why? Welcome to Back to First. Let's unravel the mysterious, adventurous, and transformative tale of the page that changed the world. Before paper, there was stone. In the prehistoric caves of Europe, especially in Lascaux, France, ancient humans painted on the rock walls nearly 17,000 years ago. These were not idle doodles. They were communication, rituals, stories of survival, and belief. In essence, these paintings were the earliest form of recorded human thought. Fast forward to ancient Mesopotamia, the cradle of civilization. Around 3200 BC, the Sumerians began pressing cuneiform symbols into soft clay using reeds. These tablets were left to dry under the sun or baked in kilns. Durable, yes, but imagine trying to carry a library of clay. The Egyptians innovated further. Papyrus, derived from the papyrus plant growing along the Nile, offered a lighter, more flexible medium. They cut the pith of the plant into strips, pressed them into sheets, and dried them in the sun. Papyrus was the lifeline of Egyptian bureaucracy, religion, and literature for thousands of years. But papyrus was fragile, especially in humid climates, and it wasn't cheap. Elsewhere, other civilizations crafted their own materials. The Mayans and Aztecs used amide made from tree bark. In India, palm leaves were used as a writing surface for sacred texts. In Greece and Rome, parchment and vellum, made from treated animal skins, became the elite medium for writing. Each innovation brought humanity closer to a universal solution. But the world was still missing something revolutionary: paper. Let us now travel eastward to China during the Eastern Han Dynasty. The empire is flourishing in trade, governance, and culture. But their writing materials, bamboo and silk, are expensive, bulky, and inefficient. In the year 105 CE, a court official named Cai Lun enters the scene. A man of humble origins but deep intellect, Cai Lun serves as a eunuch in the imperial court. He observed scholars and administrators struggling with bamboo sleeves that are heavy and cumbersome, and silk that drained the empire's coffers. While walking along a riverbank, Cai Lun noticed mulberry bark and hemp fibers dissolving in water. Inspiration struck. He took bark from trees, discarded fish nets, hemp waste, and rugs, fibers previously seen as trash. He beat them into a pulp, mixed them with water, and spread the slurry across a fine screen. After draining and drying, a thin, soft sheet remained. This was the world's first true paper, Z, as it was called in Chinese. Cai Lun presented his creation to Emperor He of Han. The emperor was impressed. The invention was documented in official histories, and paper began its gradual journey across Asia. Paper was not just a convenience. It became a strategic asset, strengthening China's administrative capabilities, record-keeping, and cultural production. Soon monasteries, scholars, and government officials began to write prolifically, documenting everything from medical texts to Confucian teachings. But for nearly 600 years, the world outside China had no idea. For centuries, China protected the secret of paper making with almost fanatical diligence. Paper gave them a cultural and administrative edge that no other civilization possessed. But secrets rarely stay buried forever. But the 6th century, paper making reached Korea and Japan. Japanese artisans further refined the technique, creating washi, handmade paper using kozo, mitsumata, and gampi fibers. Washi was used in art, architecture, and even samurai armor. Then came a turning point in history. In 751 CE, during the Battle of Talas River, the Chinese Tang army clashed with the Arab Abbasid Caliphate in Central Asia. The Abbasids won and captured Chinese prisoners. Among them, skilled paper makers. These artisans were taken to Samarkand, where the first paper mills outside China were established. The technology quickly spread to Baghdad, the heart of the Islamic Golden Age. Baghdad's scholars like Al-Kindi, Al-Razi, and Al-Farabi embraced paper. With easier access to writing materials, libraries flourished. The famed House of Wisdom became a hub of translation, science, and philosophy. Paper became the fuel for a cultural explosion, from astronomy and medicine to poetry and politics. By the 10th century, paper mills operated in Damascus, Cairo, and Fez. The Islamic world was now the torchbearer of knowledge, and paper was its flame. Europe, meanwhile, was still clinging to parchment, durable but expensive, and time-consuming to produce. Paper slowly entered Europe via Islamic Spain and Sicily. But at first, the Charles and ruling elite resisted. Paper made from old rugs and common fibers was considered inferior, even dirty. But necessity triumphed over prejudice. By the 13th century, water-powered paper mills were built in Italy, particularly in Fabriano, which became the epicenter of European paper making. Fabriano artisans added innovations like gelatin sizing and watermarking. As paper gained acceptance, it began to transform Europe's intellectual landscape. In the 14th century, with the spread of universities and the rise of a merchant class, demand for books and ledgers skyrocketed. Paper was cheaper than parchment and more practical than vellum. Then, in the mid-15th century, an event occurred that would catapult paper into every home and mind: the invention of the printing press. Johannes Gutenberg's movable type press relied entirely on the affordability and availability of paper. His printed Bible, once a manuscript reserved for the elite, could now be owned by the middle class. Soon, knowledge exploded. Pamphlets, newspapers, letters, contracts, and fiction flowed through Europe. The Reformation, the scientific revolution, the Enlightenment all rode the wave of paper. Paper was no longer a product. It was a force. With the rise of literacy and trade, paper became embedded in every part of life. The Renaissance masters, Michelangelo, Da Vinci, Galileo, all sketched their ideas on paper. Explorers mapped the globe. Scientists documented their experiments. Poets and playwrights gave voice to human emotion. The printing industry exploded. By 1600, an estimated 200 million books had been printed in Europe alone. Colonial powers used paper to draft treaties, form constitutions, and record conquests. The Declaration of Independence was written on paper. So were the Magna Carta and the Napoleonic Code. Paper currency emerged, replacing heavy coinage. Stocks, bonds, insurance contracts, all written on paper, making the modern economy possible. Education systems were built on paper. Bureaucracies functioned because of it. Wars were started and ended by signatures on paper. The 19th century saw the mechanizations of paper production. Machines like the Ford Linear Press allowed for continuous rolls of paper to be made from wood pulp. The demand was insatiable. Newspapers, novels, advertisements, packaging, school books. Everyone wanted paper. The newspaper industry boomed. Mass market publishing turned authors into celebrities. Children learned to read from printed primers. Women wrote journals, men kept ledgers. Paper democratized information. It was no longer the domain of monks or scholars. It belonged to the people. And yet, the environmental costs began to show. Forests cut down, rivers polluted, paper's dark side was born. Then came the 20th and 21st centuries. Computers, phones, screens. Digital documents replaced filing cabinets. Emails replaced letters. E-books replaced novels. Still, paper remains. We print our most important contracts. We write vows and farewells by hand. We sketch ideas on napkins and jot dreams into journals. Paper is not just a medium. It's a ritual, a symbol of permanence in an age of impermanence. The story of paper is not just about technology. It's about memory, civilization, and the human need to leave a mark. From cave paintings to parchment scrolls, from bamboo slips to printed manifestos, paper has been humanity's companion in every step of its journey. So, the next time you touch a page, fold a letter, or turn through a book, pause and remember you are holding 2,000 years of invention, of whispers, revolutions, and revelations. This is the story of paper. From stone to screen, it has carried the human story, and now it has carried ours.